Heart disease is a major killer both here in the United States as well as around the world. Now, what exactly causes heart disease? Heart disease is caused by atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is when one's arteries are clogged by a plaque. Here is a diagram of a normal healthy artery, and you can see that it has not been blocked, so blood can flow unimpeded through this artery. This artery has been narrowed by plaque, and so now the blood cannot flow freely through this artery, and that can lead to a heart attack. And this is the cause of heart disease, or also called cardiovascular disease. Now, what exactly causes these plaques to form within the arteries? Atherosclerosis is caused by consuming dietary cholesterol. So again, here's another diagram showing these plaques, these cholesterol plaques, clogging this artery and causing the heart disease. Now, which foods specifically contain cholesterol? It's very simple. Cholesterol is found only in animal-based foods. So that would include any food that comes from an animal. So any kind of meat, chicken, beef, that it includes any seafood, eggs, also dairy products, cheese, yogurt, anything from an animal contains cholesterol. On the other hand, plant-based foods contain zero cholesterol. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, anything from a plant has zero cholesterol. Now, in June of 2017, the American College of Cardiology published recommendations specifically for hospitals, and they called on hospitals to always have at least one plant-based main dish available and offered and promoted at every meal for their patients. They also called on hospitals to ban the serving of processed meats. In 2018, in a scientific journal called Progress in Cardiovascular Disease, a study was published that found that following a plant-based diet can reduce one's heart disease risk by a whopping 40%. Wow, that's a lot. This is a wonderful quote by Dr. Kim Williams, and he is the former president of the American College of Cardiology, and he also currently serves as chief of cardiology at Rush University in Chicago. And he said there are two kinds of cardiologists, vegans and those who haven't read the data. So he strongly advocates for following a plant-based diet in order to reduce the risk of heart disease. Now, a whole foods plant-based diet, it not only can prevent heart disease, but in many cases, studies have shown that it's even been able to reverse heart disease. This is a well-known study by Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and he showed that a plant-based diet can actually reverse heart disease. So on the left, you see a picture of an artery from one of his patients who had severe heart disease. And you can see that the artery is damaged. It's very thin and damaged. And then following adhering to a plant-based diet, now look at the picture of this same artery, and you can see that the artery on the right is now healthy, and it has healed through the process of following a plant-based diet. So truly amazing. This is another quote by Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and he says, "Some people think that the plant-based whole foods diet is extreme. 500,000 a year will have their chests opened up and a vein taken from their leg and sewn onto their coronary artery. Some people would call that extreme." So think about that, about having to undergo this extreme surgery, bypass surgery, versus just eating a bunch of healthy food. And what option do you think most people would prefer? He also said coronary heart disease is a benign foodborne illness which need never exist or progress. And if the truth be known, coronary artery disease is a toothless paper tiger that need never, never, ever exist. And if it does exist, it need never, ever progress. Something to think about. So, eat a whole foods plant-based diet to prevent or treat heart disease. And so the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, they recommend what's called the Power Plate. And it's very simple. Eat fruits, grains, vegetables, and legumes. And fill your plate up with these healthy plant-based foods. And in this way, you can greatly reduce your risk for heart disease. We need to start with the healthy plant-based diet in the critical childhood stage to reduce heart disease risk. So, hope you'll think about that. That concludes this lecture.